crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
The penetrator. Now, come on, look, because I always went the farthest into the target, goddammit. Libya, Tunisia, Lebanon, it was me, pal. I was always first in, last out.
This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to. But it's vulnerable out in the open.
Its blood was on the leaves.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Okay. So before we get started here, I've got to ask Snowdub a question. What do you think about the? hold on. Oh my god. Okay. I'm straight face. What do you think about the Escape from New York remake without John Carpenter, without Kurt Russell and Snake, and now Snake's gonna be a woman?
Oh my god. And let me guess, since Snake Plissken had long hair, this new Snake's gonna have like a totally Drago haircut, right?
a bitch haircut.
Straight up. Like just shaved head, green hair kind of hanging to the side or whatever. Oh, I can't wait, Loki. I can't wait to see what they do with the Thing. That's they're on a John Carpenter roll right now, and I hear Big Trouble in Little China is still kind of up in the air, but just leave the man alone. He's made us classic movies, and nobody can duplicate those. Just leave it alone.
Why even try when he's like, oh, Carpenter's like, I didn't even know they were doing anything. I'm the last one to know, I guess.
There was rumors for a while, and now I guess it's true. If Tom was here, he'd probably be able to establish that fact. But I don't know. The rumor mill has been going wild, and You know how it is, Loki. I mean, they could pull the plug on it, and it could just all be bullshit after, So we'll see. But they'll find out, when they put it out in theaters or streaming or whatever they decide to do, get the pushback for it, because Snake Plissken is another one of those beloved characters that people don't necessarily want to see get messed with. You know what I'm saying?
Or a reboot.
Anything. Just don't touch that character.
Okay, if Carpenter was involved, I could totally get behind, like, if his kid was playing Snake, if Kurt Russell's kid, because he looks a lot like him. Let's say he was playing Snake. All right. I could see like a younger Snake, something. I could see them do something. As long as Carpenter is involved and Kurt's involved and his kid's involved, I could see them doing something like that and doing another movie. But without that, I just no. And speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Welcome, Tom.
There he is.
Who was talking about me?
Well, we were just establishing the fact that there's going to be a new female Snake Plissken, and saying, well, Tom might know if that's actually true or not, or still in the rumor mill.
Yeah, it's going to be called Coochie Foreskin.
Woo! Can't wait. Escape from what? The clam shop from downtown Lesbo?
Escape from white men.
Escape from White Mountain.
She's sick and tired of being asked out on dates. Now she's escaping the men that won't quit bothering her.
She's fighting back against the patriarchy.
Jennifer Lawrence is.
The original Snake Plissken.
She can't be Snake. She don't have a penis.
And she's white. They're going to do some kind
Tramp Stamp Jones, maybe? I don't know.
They got to do a race swap. Leslie Jones is the new Snake Plissken foreskin.
Coochie Foreskin.
Hey, everybody in the chat. Good to see you. Slap that like button. Welcome. We're missing somebody. We're missing somebody. Who is
Mikey's in California.
Well, I know that, but we're still missing him.
Yeah.
We are.
6 was supposed to be here, too. I don't know where she's at.
What's going down here?
Well, you don't think?
The last I heard from Mexican Iron Man, he was passing by a gender-neutral bathroom, and he was extremely triggered.
Yeah, I saw that.
Exactly. And I asked him if he had a hand grenade handy. He said he might, actually, in one of his armor suits. So I don't know what happened after that. I just heard a big explosion, and then he hung up the phone. So
like a mini nuclear bomb going off.
Right. Not sure what happened.
Yeah. Chris Persia asked, passing by gender neutral what bathroom. So it's got like a dude on one side, and then it's got the dress, the dress stick figure in the other, and then it's got another figure to the right of that that's half guy stick figure, half woman stick figure.
And don't forget the handicapped one. It's like the worst Congo line ever, folks.
Help me.
I was wondering that with that third stick figure, is it possible to self-procreate?
Good question.
I don't know anymore.
That's Joker. Joker knows.
All I know is there better be tampons in the men's bathroom.
It's a state of mind.
So I want to welcome Tron. The legendary Tron is here, ladies and gentlemen. He bites for the users. Give him a check out. Check out his YouTube channel. He is almost to 1,000 subscribers. He only needs 10 more subscribers, and he will be at 1K. So please go by, check out his YouTube channel. If you aren't subscribed, subscribe. Please ring that bell and check out Tron's content. We also have the man, the myth, the legend, the karaoke king, CC Karaoke. What's going on, brother? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. The sun finally came out after a month. Just think about the West
miracle
Coast out here. It was like we had 1 year where we went 80 days without sunshine. So through the cloud cover now. It's feeling good.
Can I just say that I've been extremely jealous of the pictures that Mr. CC has been posting on his Twitter. Being Snow Dub, I grew up on the Cascade Mountains in Washington State, snowboarding and skiing, and I haven't done it in quite a few years, and so I'm vicariously living through CC's pictures on Twitter right now.
Today was pretty good, I got to admit.
Yeah, that was nice.
And you know, as much as I am enjoying being back in Texas, I miss my mountains. I miss my mountains in Missouri. I miss the mountains in Branson. I miss riding my bike down into Arkansas. There's so much beautiful trails and stuff out in Arkansas. But I miss the mountains. I miss the mountains.
Silence.
Everything here is flat.
Jesus, Tron is trying to speak.
Shoot, Tron, what's up?
Well, shit. Mexican Iron Man with a mini nuke. We are fucked.
Yeah, we're all fucked. We are all fucking. Speaking about being fucked.
Good evening.
Holy shit.
Ladies and gentle beings, how are you all?
Now we got some culture. But not culture.
The culture's not here.
Right.
As soon as I saw him, I'm like thinking boot up the ass. There's a boot in the ass.
Is that what it was? I wondered what that was. I thought it was
Refined
a pineapple.
musical taste.
How y'all doing?
Doing good. Doing good. We were just introducing everybody.
All right, I'll carry on. Continue.
The man to the right underneath CC Karaoke. He's the one, the only. He's the rooster. Dave Bob, what's going on, brother? How are you doing?
Well, mountains are for losers. Lowlands are for cruisers.
Oh man, I liked riding through those Ozarks. I did, except when I got run off the road and almost fucking died. That was fun. Good evening, Dave Bob. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Oh yeah. And of course, he's the master of puppetry. He's the leader of the Cotton Connection, the Cotton Council. Snow Dub, what is going on, brother?
Jolly, I guess he got a good scratch ticket today and won a few bucks. So he took the puppet gang down to the strip club, and so I'm not sure what happened to him. But last I heard, Mike Roach was extremely drunk, and El Perro was starting fights, and it's not good. So they should be home eventually. So
can a puppet get a table dance?
But what about Puff?
Puff's actually passed out on the couch. He didn't even make it out the door. So, but I'll go wake him up in a little bit.
Cushion, mama.
Right.
And speaking of cushion,
do they have puppet strip clubs? I mean,
I guess so.
Right, they do.
I guess so.
I've dropped a few bucks at those before.
The Gaping Hole, is that what it's called?
Miss Piggies.
It's something to do with a fist. There's obviously going to be a fist in the title.
Fisties?
Fisties.
I think it's the ventriloquist.
Yeah, not Hooters.
Ooh,
Fisters.
That's a mouthful there.
The ventriloquist. Say that 3 times.
Drool.
Never mind. Sorry, it's the lyricist in me. I always try to overreach my nouns and verbs here. My bad.
That 70s Rocks band. What is up, brother? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well, my friend. Thank you. I've just spent the last hour. I need to buy a new desk, and I'm now totally confused after spending a few days looking for a new desk. I'm further back than when I started in trying to figure out what I want. So all I know is it needs to be big.
Yes.
Size matters. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Size is important.
Oh,
speaking of size is important, we got breaking news that Tom had a hot date last night, I guess.
Yeah, Tom, what is up with that?
Yeah, baby.
Some sweet dance moves.
I like bacon.
He likes making bacon.
But Melinda's a cow.
Yeah, I had to leave her.
Oh, she was a one and done, huh?
Wow.
Oh yeah, one night stand.
Right. Well, she was a little overweight.
Nah, I don't know. That was a lot of fun hanging out with those guys, I guess. I had no idea what I was doing.
Floral gotcha. Looks like, or Wilton.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they made you dance too? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you didn't like take your shirt off, did you?
Twice. But they didn't
Oh,
put that on
shit.
camera.
Oh.
Well, at least he didn't pull
That's
out
a
the nipple
shame.
clamps. Right.
Why were you wearing 2 shirts?
Because I was afraid of that.
Nipple
It's like-
clamps.
It's like Robert Stack in Airplane. He's got multiple sunglasses. Sorry.
Yeah, last time I was on, it was nipple clamps and hot wax. So you got
Oh,
off easy.
I can hear it now. Turn it off. Turn it off. My nipples are smoking. Hello, kitties.
You can't say that anymore for Mark Hamill.
What? Oh, I was doing the Crypt Keeper.
Hamill doesn't like the kitties?
Titties? What? Booby break?
Booby break.
Wrong channel.
Do we have
Wrong
a
show.
booby? I don't know. I don't know if we have a booby break.
So she was using me to get back at comics. I kind of figured that. That's why I didn't fall in love. You know, you can get the
Aw.
milk for free. Why buy the cow?
Oh shit!
Was that Brahma bull's milk below, perhaps?
Well, I'm allergic to Brahma's bull's milk. I'm Brahma bull milk lactose intolerant.
I used to drink. I used to drink a lot of milk, and then I saw The Last Jedi.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that. I didn't watch it, and I would never will.
Everything changed after that.
Never will.
Did anybody else walk out of that just kind of in shock, not knowing what that shell
Didn't
shock?
walk in. Never walk in.
I
That's
watched-
the best way.
I walked out in the middle of it, so there you go.
I walked out of it laughing my ass off because at that point, it was just kind of like, oh, this is one of those movies that's so bad it's good kind of things. Because there was no fixing shit. Like, it was all done with. It was just kind of like a roast after a funeral, basically. You know? Just kind of like, whatever.
I've had a few really
Light
hard
speed
moments.
jumping, sure.
Yeah, I've had a few real hard moments in my life as a father. One was, putting down my son's favorite dog. The others was, explaining to my son that, Santa Claus don't exist. And then, of course, when I had to explain to him why Luke Skywalker died unnecessarily, that was completely mortifying for him. And, yeah.
I'm sorry, I've got to just ask you something here. What do you mean Santa Claus doesn't exist?
Oh,
you told me.
Damn it.
Oh.
Spoiler alert.
Why?
Oh.
It's a fan fiction.
Spoiler alert.
That's it.
some
My
quote
life is
unquote-
ruined. My life is over.
Some people decided to make a fan film and they wrote that Luke died. Didn't actually happen. It's just, like, you can go onto any website and read fan fictions about any IP that you want.
He forced himself to death.
Yeah, we were in denial. We kept trying to say, oh, well, the arm disappeared too, and the arm's metal, and it would have fell down and went clank. So maybe he just
Is
did
that
a Force Ghost thing.
Is that kind of like when my ex-girlfriend's mom, passed out and nearly died on the toilet because she strained so hard? We had to call 911.
Sounds like Elvis.
Forced herself to death. Yeah, so yeah.
Wait a minute here. I just had a thought. I'm not that familiar with the extended universe of Star Wars, but is Luke's hand still out there somewhere?
Well, you know what's funny about that is that the original script for The Force Awakens, the whole thing that set that whole thing in motion was Luke's hand and lightsaber. And all that shit
Yeah.
got tossed to the wayside.
Right, it's out there
Because
living
that
its
was
own
what
life.
Yeah, that's what Maz Kanata meant when she said that's a story for another time.
Hmm.
Like the whole movie was built upon this idea that this scrapper found Luke's hand with the lightsaber on Bespin, the planet below Bespin or whatever, and it found its way to Maz Kanata, and like, yeah, it was this whole thing of that's how the original story had started out.
I would like to think that his hand did go out and live its best life on its own, had a long and happy life. Maybe met up with the thing, You know, maybe they had
They had children in a gay relationship.
They had a relationship, you know.
Of course, how do we know that Thing isn't female? Of course, it does look like a very manly hand.
Well, and you're making a judgment then, Tom, aren't you?
Well, I didn't say there was anything wrong with that, but I mean...
In the Timothy Zahn books, Vader went and got his hand, and Vader went and got the lightsaber, and takes it, and the Emperor ends up getting a hold of it and actually clones Luke and makes like an evil Luke Skywalker with that lightsaber. And
I tried that once in my bathtub.
He was supposed to kill the real Luke and take his place, and Mara Jade ended up killing him.
Yeah, what you do with your hands in the bathtub is we don't want to know about.
No. I mean, tried to make a Luke, but it didn't work.
maybe that's the... Sorry, go ahead, mate.
I was saying, have any of you seen the YouTube channel? This guy who's like self-animating the whole Heir to the Empire book and voicing it and everything.
Yeah, I had heard about that. Yeah,
it's incredible. People are so talented. I'm envious. I'm jealous.
You should call me for some voice work. Nobody ever calls me for voice work.
Well, I have a few ideas, Tom. I just need the time to work on them. Believe it or not, I have some ideas that you would be able to help with, but all in good time.
I could be trailer guy.
In a world where worlds don't exist.
You should do the trailer for the Bat Tom movie.
You left a trail of breadcrumbs. Hey, it was a sandwich, and it was kind of a toasty sandwich.
We got to get Tom to say it was a dark and stormy night.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Oh, good for you.
I'm repeating myself. Whoa.
Uh-oh.
I'm repeating
Somebody's
myself.
audio's like feeding me back. Okay, it's done now, whatever it was.
It was a dark and stormy night. Again. He repeated.
Squeaka would hire you for voice work.
His worst nightmare has come true. Ah, Christ, both Poison Ivy and Catwoman got their period.
Jeebus.
State of mind.
He's never found a donut he didn't like.
Oh my.
Maybe it was the evil cloned Luke we got in The Last Jedi then. Maybe
That
was
would be
the
funny.
clone. Yeah. That would be a way out of it all if we wanted to.
No wonder he's like, fuck my sister.
Yeah.
That was a theory at one point.
It is a good theory because we could reverse the whole flow of time there and have 3 proper sequels.
Explains why he's such a douchebag.
Yeah. The only thing that was disappointing was he didn't take that milk straight from the source. He had to put it in a bottle first.
Oh, dude, don't remind me. Don't. Oh,
That would have been even worse.
it's so yummy. Come on, Tom.
Oh, Lord. Now available at every corner Tatooine store, Luke's Blue Milk. It comes fresh from the sea. Sea cows make milk.
Man, it's
Or is it green? It was green.
What the fuck?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
What?
Couldn't have put it better myself. Yeah.
But I was going to go into the Taji station to pick up some power converters.
You can hang out with your friends later. Right now, the dog, cat, goldfish, and wife cycles are all synchronized. It's fucking hell around here, Luke.
You know what it's like to hang out with your Aunt Beru?
Uh-oh.
Yes, I do, he said to his uncle.
She's been griping ever since that black chick broke into our house and tried to kill you.
Oh my god.
When you didn't remember.
Yeah, don't you remember that shit?
Huh?
You know, your sister, who you've never met.
Didn't know about.
That you're going to make out with. You know they totally boned, right?
Oh, absolutely.
In that white dress.
Leia's a powerful woman. She takes what she wants.
Obi-Wan harnessed her power to defeat Vader and then not kill him and be responsible for everything that happened afterwards.
Yeah.
Apparently. According to all that.
Well, not really, because Palpatine didn't die either, so nobody died.
No.
And remember, Gaffer's tape. Underbrow.
It's a bit
There's
like
no
an
underwear in space.
It's a bit like an episode of the Red Green Show, the Canadian show. Yeah. You can fix anything with duct tape.
Well, that's why she did, half the Death Star. 'Cause she was always feeling so free and loose,
Well, the original lines when Luke busted into the to her cell was, "Aren't you a little short for a casting couch?"
I thought it was, "Aren't you a little young for Harvey Weinstein?" But
And the reply was nobody's too young for Harvey.
This is probably sadly true.
Yeah, especially if you're the first at everything.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry,
was
Dave
it-
Bob. What did you say? I didn't hear what you said, Dave Bob.
I said, if you're the first at everything, I'm the first superhero female in all of fandom.
Oh, this is like charades. He's Jennifer Lawrence.
Does that mean Jennifer Lawrence was Harvey Weinstein's first conquest?
No, she conquested him. She was the falling of him. Yeah.
Don't you remember the girl in Scream 3 that got the part from banging the producer? That was originally based on Jennifer Lawrence, of course.
You know what's sad is that's a Weinstein production.
Yeah, I know.
You look at that movie now, all the shit that's in that movie, there is some dark side to that shit.
That's I didn't even realize it because
that whole movie is predicated on the idea of the casting couch.
Yep.
Like, and
Yep. We had some fun with your mom back in the day, Sydney. Oh shit! We had to shut her up. She was gonna ruin everything.
And that's how the new
damn.
Sydney got the job too. That's the fucked up part.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I think she was meant to be one of the original killers too in the script. But yeah. I didn't hate that she had an illegitimate brother. I thought that was kind of, I wouldn't call it clever, but it was like, okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading, because you recommended them, Tom, the Canon film guides.
Oh, yes,
And I
yes.
just was reading the chapter about Bo Derek's Bolero. Now, there's a suspect movie if ever there was one. That movie is really
Bo Derek's
problematic.
husband just made movies, so he clearly likes just showing his wife off, is what it was. It was
Yeah, but the age that she was at in some of these movies, or meant to be at, are just very problematic. But anyway, yeah.
Oh, I've never actually seen it. So what is she playing, like a 14-year-old or some shit in it?
Kind of. Well, I think she's a little older than that, but there's things like that in it. Yeah, it's her husband was a little bit weird.
Yeah, he was a weirdo.
But she did manage to cure some guy's gorged member, the bullfighter that she was dating, by just the power of her body riding a horse naked. She got him back to fully functioning. So she did some good. It's just, I've never seen it either, but when you read
It's the amazing power of breasts, my friend.
That's right, yeah. Breast on a horse.
Breasts on a horse.
But yeah, it's funny stuff. There's some
Bounce,
really
bounce.
weird shit in those Canon movies when you start digging deep.
Well, they didn't pretend to be anything other than what they were, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah, I love that too. Humor and Waffles. The joke about Carrie Fisher banging George Lucas. What's sad is it may not be untrue.
It definitely is Friday, ladies and gentlemen.
I doubt it. George was such a cold fish, from what I've heard. I doubt it. Like in one book, there was somebody who said something like, the reason he married Marcia is because he knew he couldn't do any better. Seriously, that was what he told somebody. He figured he'd marry her.
Made her feel good.
He said he'd marry her now before he loses him to somebody else.
It's a cheap way to get an editor.
Well, and he was really jealous of her from what you can read about too, because like supposedly all his friends got points on Star Wars, except for Francis Ford Coppola, and it was supposedly because Francis hit on her, and he was really pissed as he didn't want her going off to edit Taxi Driver because supposedly Scorsese was pretty handsy too.
Shocking behavior.
Carrie wasn't just like a nobody though either. She was Hollywood royalty. So
in a way, yeah. But see, a lot of I think her and like people like Jamie Lee had a hard time early on because there was a lot of like, oh, you're the daughter of these famous folks, and yeah, because that was kind of the first time you really had a generation like that since the Barrymores, basically.
But as soon as Jamie Lee Curtis got semi-naked, everybody forgot who her father was.
Oh yeah.
Usually, so. Your dad's who?
Tony
We
who?
don't care. Tony who? We don't care. Tony Curtis. The Persuaders. Did you ever watch The Persuaders?
No.
With Roger Moore and Tony Curtis.
I think
She's not into you. It's just your turn.
Great.
First time I saw Trading Places, I believe that was the day I became a man.
Yeah, sometime in 1984.
Several
I think it
times in
was.
that day.
I believe it
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is it okay? So I mean, guys, so I was talking to Eris the other day, and I'm like, yeah, I saw like Aliens when I was like 8. You saw Aliens when you're 8? Yeah, it wasn't a big deal. I saw Trading Places when it came out. I mean, shit, it didn't matter back then. It just didn't. It was like, oh, movie night, whatever we watch is what we watch. That was just the way it was.
Yeah, famously, your mom would just cover up your eyes when clearly things were getting a little too risque,
or try, yeah.
She was always way too late.
Of course.
I was never allowed to watch Married with Children growing up, but for some reason I was allowed to watch All in the Family, and I watched the heck out of that show.
Yeah, it's kind of like I had an ex whose parents wouldn't let her watch The Simpsons because they said it was a bad influence, but they would let her watch shit like Highlander and shit like that. I'm like, really?
Huh.
Well, and that's the thing is there's a lot of people, I remember that, who just misinterpreted The Simpsons altogether, of this idea of what it was. And it's like, no, South Park and Beavis and Butthead were a little different, but The Simpsons was, in the first few seasons, was actually pretty groundbreaking television and got unfairly bashed, in my opinion. I mean, you just go look at the first season alone with shit like the Telltale Head and some of those other episodes are like, that's pretty, for a cartoon that's supposedly nothing but burp and fart jokes, which it wasn't. Like, that's what Nickelodeon became. I'm like, yeah, all that SpongeBob stuff that later on came out, that's kind of more along the lines what parents were thinking Beavis and Butthead and The Simpsons were like.
I actually collected the Simpsons comics for a while, starting from issue 1. They weren't bad. I mean, I don't know what
were they
what
Bongo
the
yet then,
series,
or was it some other company that put them out at first?
Oh, I haven't looked recently.
Because Matt Groening started Bongo Comics just for Simpson and like Itchy and Scratchy and other brand comics. Yeah.
I just remember walking into
some other ones. Yeah.
I started walking to the store. It's like suddenly there's a Simpsons comic sitting there amongst all the other stuff.
I was a Simpson freak as a kid. Like,
oh yeah.
I remember watching the Tracy Ullman show just for the Simpson breaks.
I had the blue shirt with Bart on it that said, "Don't have a cow, man."
I agree, Tom. It's groundbreaking stuff, and like all great animated comedy, it works on several levels. Kids can appreciate it for certain things. Adults who are watching it with the correct mindset can appreciate things too. And there's a lot of movie references and a lot of cultural references built in. It would have certainly jumped over the younger audience, but I was an adult and I was watching it. So this is great. Season 3 onwards, particularly season 3.
I will say this is the difference between like All in the Family and Married with Children. Married with Children was more or less raunchy humor, with kind of some poignant moments. All in the Family, though, was groundbreaking in a sense that it was the left versus right for the first time on primetime television. You got to see what was going on in most homes in America at that point.
All based on a great British show called Till Death Us Do Part, which went even further than the American one.
But I was going to say, I think All in the Family had much longer life in it than
it
the
did.
other. Yeah.
And honestly, that show probably affected me growing up maybe more than any other show I watched.
It was one of those shows Yeah, the All in the Family was one that my dad insisted I sit down and watch. And I mean, I ended up, of course, loving it, but, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything like that now or has been for a long time. You
No.
have shows that were funny with social issues in them without having yourself beaten over the head. I mean, the great thing about that show and the British version was that it gave both sides of the argument. So the writers could put in the mouths of the characters the two competing viewpoints. But usually there was a point where people came back together in some respects in them. Now it would be just beating you over the head with a lecture.
There is no back and forth
Yeah,
conversation anymore. Yeah.
Not anymore.
Well, not only that, I liked how it showed Archie as a much more complicated character than everybody thought on the surface. Like most people watching it, just watching 1 or 2 episodes, oh, Archie's just a dumb bigot or whatever. It's like, no. You have to watch the show to understand where Archie is coming from. Archie is representing a part of America that worked to get us here, that served in 2 or 3 different wars, that, knows a lot more than you think he does. And yeah, sure, he may have some stereotypical or, racial and sexist outlooks on some things, but he also comes from a completely different time than his kids do. And Mike and his daughter, of course, they're right about some things, but they're also very lazy and stupid in a lot of other things. And they did not paint Mike as a very good person in that show by the end of it. So they did take a fair representation of what both sides were kind of like, because Mike became a very self-centered person by the end of that show. I mean, he ends up leaving his kid and wife, for fuck's sake. I mean, it's one of those things that it's kind of like, I like how that show did not pull punches, and it showed both sides of the coin both times, and how, even though Archie was normally proved wrong, not every time was Mike, the higher, authority on everything that was political.
No, because there's lots of things he hadn't done in his life, unlike
He hadn't learned
Archie.
yet, exactly.
Yeah, you mentioned war. I was Archie a
Meathead
veteran?
is
I
still
can't
a
remember.
douche.
Oh yeah.
He's now he's a dickhead, not a meathead. But
well, as you notice, it was usually the daughter that would kind of be the middle ground, and mom would usually be the middle ground. One of the, in one of the either or in the situation, it would tend to be. But yeah. Even though she was a bit more of a hippy dippy chick than Mike was in some cases.
I don't know, but yeah, I'm not as familiar with the American version, but the British version.
It's a classic, man.
The mother was treated mercilessly by all of the characters.
Oh, it's the same in the American version.
Mercilessly slagged. It was terrible. He's like, you silly old cow, this kind of thing.
But she has 2 of the most poignant episodes, though, and that's the one where she almost gets raped, and then the other one is where she dies, because Archie is just kind of lost without her, kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, the beauty of the British one was that at least once per episode, because Alf Garnett would be busy slagging his wife off, silly old cow, blah blah blah. Once every episode, she'd just nail him with a zinger, and absolutely leave him speechless. Because he's always treating her like she was stupid, but she just let him rant, and then she'd bang, just once per episode.
Edith would kind of do that, but it was usually on accident. You know what I mean? Like, it was usually in some way around that she would come up with something that Archie wouldn't think of. And
Silence. Users, Tron is trying to speak.
All right, my back's starting to hurt, so I must relax for the night. Love you all. Have a good rest of the night, guys.
Cheers, buddy.
Take care of yourself, Tron.
See you later, Tron. Thanks for hanging out, buddy.
See ya.
Run over
Have a
X,
good night.
swing his foot again.
I don't know what happened to Loki. He said he was getting a refill. He must have fell in.
Yeah.
He's going for that green milk. He's looking for the green milk. So.
Apparently that's what happened to Hendrix, He fell into a tub of red wine.
He did.
Oh, I thought it was green milk.
Fell in.
Yeah. Like Brian Jones, he fell into a swimming pool. Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, 28. Never be 28 and be a rock star. Never be the
I thought
age
it was
28.
27.
Was it 27?
27.
Yeah, the
was
27
all
club.
of them
I thought it was
died.
28.
I thought
my friend,
like,
my friend tells me 28 is apparently more interesting. We just keep ignoring it.
Oh, is it? It could be, because I know like Jim Morrison and the rest of them, most of them were 27 when they died.
Kurt Cobain.
27 is
Yeah,
probably...
it's 27. You're right. 27. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Because it's called the 27 Club. Yeah.
He was at least 8 months off his 28th birthday. Yeah.
Wasn't Amy Winehouse in that club recently?
I believe she was also 27. Yeah.
Janis Joplin wasn't.
Janis
I had to
Joplin
mix
was
my
another one.
drink.
27s that, we just, hey, don't get to 27, or if you get past it, you're okay.
I had to mix my drink. I was listening to you guys.
What did you mix it with?
Shaken, not stirred.
Shaken, not stirred. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Baldwin, things around here don't react well to bullets.
Oh. Are we gonna go there? Are we really gonna go there?
Dude, I think that was the. Oh shit! Go. That's weird.
Echo.
I was getting that earlier too. That was weird. Yeah.
No, that's the first thing I ever copied Sean Connery where I was trying to talk to him was Hunt for Red October. Ryan, things around here don't react well to bullets.
Yes. One ping only.
One ping only, Vasily.
Splendid. Yes, I'm a Russian submarine commander. Of course I am.
Yeah, that's another.
Yes, and my
Baldwin.
first officer is a New Zealander, so. Struth, Mike.
Rusky.
Struth, Mike.
You're mucking with a G, pal. Do you know he improvised that? That wasn't even in the fucking script. He didn't even know what the fuck it meant. He just made it up. You're mucking with a G, pal.
Reminds me of Good Morning Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Hey, from the Delta to the DMZ.
That the home of
Follow the Ho
Chopper
Chi Minh
Jan.
Trail. Follow the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Down here with a water buffalo.
Goddamn comic genius.
Oh, we're going out for our weather report. It's hot. It's hot.
Damn
It's wet.
hot.
Damn hot. It's a little crotch cooking.
cooking.
What's it like in the jungle? It's hot and it's wet, which is great if you're a woman, but it sucks if you're in the jungle.
My
What's
mom
the
used to
weather like?
bust my ass about watching that movie. Why do you watch that
love
movie
it.
so much? I'm like, God, I love it because
Good Morning Vietnam was one of the reasons I became a DJ. Between that and Pump Up the Volume were two really influential films about me wanting to be a DJ.
Yeah, talk hard. Yeah, hell yeah.
Harry Hard on, yeah.
It's gonna be another gusher. Here we go. Holy shit, it's coming.
Everybody knows that the dice were loaded. Yeah, that was one of our generation's big teen films. Pump Up the Volume.
Oh, Saj Melody says Adrian Cronauer relieved Pat Sajak as the Armed Forces DJ.
I did not know that.
Pat
didn't
Sajak
realize-
and Vanna White.
I didn't realize how much influence he had until I'd watched Platoon not too long ago. And in the background, you hear one of the DJs doing the Good Morning Vietnam bit. And that movie came out 2-3 years before Good Morning Vietnam. So I know that they said in the movie that the Robin Williams version of the character is way different than the real guy. But yeah, I didn't realize that. I thought Robin Williams had kind of come up with that shit, more or less. I didn't know it was a real thing.
Well, I'm sure any role Robin Williams played got a heavy dose of Robin
Kinda
Williams.
Like Patch Adams, yeah.
I don't know if I'm way off on this, but I remember reading an article at some point that the original version of Solo was heavily ad-libbed before they switched directors. and
Probably
refilmed it.
because of Lord and Miller. I would love to see that version of it.
I really kind of would too. That's I
But
mean,
I
it
was
could be awful,
told,
but
yeah, but I was told they had shot for 88 days already at that point, and they'd only had 2/3 of the movie shot. So when Ron Howard took over, yeah, it was a mess. So for those who know, usually if you're shooting more than a month on a movie, that's not good. Sometimes these bigger movies can take a few months, but there's generally a reason for that. And being that this movie was mostly shot on sets and green screens and shit, there's no reason it should have took 88 days.
Well, now you got you got like five reshoots now, Tom. You got 5-6 reshoots that for
Ron
every
Howard
movie.
came in. Yeah, and Ron Howard came in and basically reshot the entire film. So yeah, in a matter of months.
I mean, I can see how Disney wouldn't want to take the risk of something completely off the cuff like that. And it takes a lot of skill. Not everyone, in fact, no one is really Robin Williams in that sense. That's why I'm so fascinated. It's like shooting a film ad lib like that could go completely awful. But if you had enough material to work with, like let's say Planes, Trains, and Automobiles,
right,
and the talent is actually there, you could have all kinds of footage. You know.
Well, that's how John Hughes shot that movie. Like there was stuff that was scripted, believe it or not, but like he would just let John go. Right. And he did the same thing almost every time he shot with John because he never knew what he was going to get out of John in the moment. And he was one of the masters, John Candy was, of just coming up and improvising on the spot, I guess. So he just would just let the camera roll. So all those deleted scenes we've got from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, it's basically he'd shoot as scripted and then he would just let the camera roll and let John fuck with Steve, basically, and see where it goes. And that's where some of the cooler parts of the film came from. But yeah, that's the only good part about that release they did this last year was we got to see about an hour of that footage.
Yeah, I'm not sure the actors, the talent in Solo. Like I never would think of them at that level of a John Candy.
That's a problem, yeah.
Right. So I mean, they easily could have been shooting for 88 days and gotten a bunch of crap, just the same. Even if
kind of like how we got Ghostbusters, and those are supposed to be professionals too, right? It's like you're watching a 2-hour movie, and it's like if you improvised and you had like a 4.5-hour cut, and this is the best you could trim out of that, I don't want to see the other fucking 3 hours.
Oh my god, I could care less about his version of 2016. I just don't care.
But believe it or not, in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Steve Martin's whole, like, I want a fucking car with 4 fucking doors and 4 fucking tires. That's all in the script with all the F words and everything. She actually ad-libbed a line. Her line is, where's your ticket? Or something like that. Or what did you do with your ticket? Or do you have, I can't remember what it was. She slipped something in there in between one of the lines. It's online somewhere. Somebody shows the whole scene right up next to the script, and you can see it's all verbatim except for Edie, what's her face, that makes the one line in there that she ad-libbed. And she ad-libbed the whole bit in the beginning with the gobble gobble and all that stuff with her sister too. Like all that's ad-libbed.
Sagador asked how much stuff got left out of Robin Williams doing
Aladdin. Hours of stuff. There was so much stuff that I remember early on before they brought in Will Smith. They were contemplating just using Robin Williams outtakes for the movie. I don't know if you guys remember this or not. This was something they had talked about, but I guess they probably didn't work it out with his estate or what have you. But there's like hours upon hours of stuff, I guess, of him just ad-libbing and going on and on and on.
So they could have just CG'd. They could have just CG'd the genie, and wow.
And I'm sure they had enough alternate takes that it would have filled in whatever they needed. That compared to what they had to work with for Carrie Fisher to bring it back full circle for. That's why I loved her performance in the last film there, because even then, like J.J. Abrams, because he just, for whatever reason, because he was a stickler and didn't want to use footage from the Last Jedi, he only used leftover footage from The Force Awakens. So that's why the performance is so fucking weird. And that's why you got Rey basically going, but if I don't use the Force, then how am I ever going to learn how to blah, 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 blah? And Carrie Fisher's like, that's fine and dandy, but I like honey mustard on my chicken nuggets.
The moment for me with that movie was the Mary Poppins thing. And the first thing that crossed my mind was like, why didn't, if she died in real life, why not actually make that her death scene?
Funnily enough, that's supposedly kind of the breaking point for Colin Trevorrow. Because if you've read his script, he wrote that when Carrie Fisher was still alive. And regardless, it's still a better story than what we got. It did at least kind of do its best to conclude the 2 previous stories. But what happened was Colin's like, I don't have Carrie Fisher to finish this movie out, but I can flip-flop her and Luke if you just leave Luke alive. and you actually, let Carrie die earlier in the film because she serves no purpose after that scene. She doesn't do shit. She's in a coma through most of the movie.
And I don't think Trevorrow's script needs Leia. I mean, just personally,
no, like he said, he just flip flop. Yeah,
it's more about like he's going into gray areas, not the black and white. And I showed it to my brother-in-law, and he loved that. He's like, it's more philosophical, right?
Well, and he used her because he had to, right? Like that was the point at that point in the story. He knew he lost Luke, so he needed Leia to fill in the gaps of. And that was the thing, is Trevorrow actually had the first half of the script is Rey learning how to be a fucking Jedi, like, and stuff like that. So, and there's no Palpatine and all this other bullshit nonsense that came in, and if you get a chance to read that script, it's worth it.
I like the way they explained it in the books. I like the way they explained Palpatine's resurrection, because it's like, okay, you've got Force Ghost, you've got Force Ghost Obi-Wan, you've got Force Ghost Yoda. What would an evil Sith Lord be able to do if he was a ghost? Oh, well, you can just, go into somebody else's body or some shit.
Well,
or go into a clone if you had a clone. Yeah.
That's the problem, though. They didn't plan it from The Force Awakens because George actually set you up in the prequels where he has Palpatine telling Anakin, what's his face even figured out a way to cheat death. Yep. And we can figure this out together.
Plagueis.
Plagueis, thank you. So like they had that setup in there. All you had to do is actually set it up from The Force Awakens. But the problem was it was an afterthought from JJ and whoever else came up with the bright idea to bring back Palpatine. Because
the line in that third movie was completely cringe. Oh, he's back now? They almost filmed it like a parody.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it is part of a reshoot, unfortunately, but yeah.
And for those that don't know, Plagueis spent almost his entire life studying other life forms. So he had all these other life forms. He had a trainee that he had trained that he was doing experiments on in his secret moon with all of these different life forms, where he basically discovered, okay, I can manipulate the midichlorians to keep myself younger, to heal myself, to do all these things that the Sith had forgotten to do. So, but the one thing he couldn't do was keep control of Palpatine, and Palpatine poisons his ass. He poisons him and sits there and watches him die and is like, you thought you could do everything, didn't you? Well, you didn't see this shit coming, did you? And until he dies, and Palpatine literally sits there and watches his midichlorians stop.
Honestly, I was probably I was more disappointed that Snoke didn't become like a clone of Plagueis, because actually that's what makes more sense. Is like, okay, if you're going to do this in kind of like this old school kind of like, look, a lot of Star Wars is based upon Kurosawa films and shit.
Yep.
And one of the tropes of that is, like the bad guy killing the teacher and then his good student getting revenge, right? So like that is kind of playing in that, but you have it all on the bad side. The Palpatine was the student that killed the teacher, and now you have Plagueis, who's trying to get his revenge on that whole scenario by using, the grandson of Darth Vader to regain control. That's an interesting story. And Plagueis would be, like you said, outside of, fucking up one time with Palpatine, he's infinitely more powerful than Palpatine ever was, probably. So that would have even been more interesting. It's like, of course this guy wouldn't have been able to keep him down. It just took him this long to regain his power or whatever and regenerate. And that's why he looks the way he does. And that's why most people are like, it makes sense if it's Plagueis, right? And then it would help, with the prequels come full circle. And, who is this character we never see anything about? And, if he's the guy that supposedly taught Palpatine, then yeah, he should be important.
No, agreed. That book is so good, guys. If you haven't read that book, it's one of the EU books from before Disney bought it. Plagueis, the story of Plagueis, and how he basically says the pendulum always swings back. So everything you do has a price. If you try and manipulate everything and you try and eclipse the light side of the Force and bring nothing but darkness, eventually that's going to get reversed and everything's going to be brought back into balance. It's the perfect explanation for what happened.
And that's kind of the problem I have overall with the Star Wars films, because granted, whether you like the prequels or not, George muddled the message with the prequels, because he really paints, no matter which way you look at it in the prequels, the Jedi are in the wrong. almost every way, shape, or form.
They're arrogant.
They're arrogant and they're doing everything wrong. And if there's any true balance to the Force, it's that Anakin proves that the Jedi should be able to love beyond their borders of, this no attachment shit. Right?
Well, Anakin could have asked, and that's one thing that's never explained, Tom. Anakin could have asked. He could have asked the council, look, I'm with this person. I'm in love with her. And he could have had a choice. He could have stepped down and not been a Jedi anymore. Or they could have granted him the ability to have a wife. That is a possibility.
And that's would have been the better ending for the film, or at least to set up the ending would have been they gave him a choice. Either you take her and you no longer become a Jedi, or you get granted Jedi Master. Which is it? That's why they would that would have been a better scenario. But again, either way you look at it, in every way, shape, or form in the prequels, the Jedi are in the wrong. Except for that they're not, what Palpatine's up to. He is, clouding their judgment, but at the same time, a lot of people use that as a fucking excuse. I'm like, I don't know. And I don't like how, it would have made more sense. And this is just a nitpicky thing. I don't know why George insisted on having Yoda go to the Wookiees and Obi-Wan do the other thing when they did the whole, it should have been the other way around. It should have been Obi-Wan going to the Wookiees, and that would explain how he knows how to speak Wookiee when he talks to Chewie in the bar.
And there's things that they never came out and explained either, like Samuel L. Jackson. Why is he so angry after he fights Palpatine? His character, Mace, is one of the only Jedi that can use a style called Vapid, which absorbs the emotions of your opponent and you turn that energy against them. So he would have been absorbing all of that dark energy off of Palpatine, and that means it's going through him and going back at Palpatine in his fighting style. So when he's too dangerous to be left alive, and I'm talking like a maniac.
But there has to be some personal cost in doing that, isn't there? I mean, it's not good for you. That can't be good for you.
He was the only Jedi Master that was allowed to practice that, because he was the only one Yoda trusted not to get carried away with it. He was forbidden to teach that to his students. There's all that information out there. And it's like, why did you not explain this better in these movies? Because I mean, he looks like a maniac after he fights Palpatine and he's talking to Anakin, and he's like, he's too dangerous to be left alive. Well,
I gotta disagree with you a little bit, Loki, because if you remember in Attack of the Clones, see, the reason Mace Windu has a purple lightsaber, and like Loki was saying, is the fact that he can literally dance on the dark side a little bit, but not be fully absorbed by it. So when he chops off Jango Fett's head in execution style, that's not normally what a Jedi would do, but since Mace Windu dances on that edge, he took the liberty of doing so and immediately executed, a pretty important character to the series, and to Count Dooku, his right-hand man, bodyguard or whatever. So that was somebody that he could have tried to arrest, even though it was under a major conflict. The instant execution of it showed Mace Windu is a little bit of a mercenary, and that's why I kind of believe the fact that he would want to kill Palpatine right then and there, because he was too powerful. Only Mace Windu was the one that had the ability and the sword play to fight Palpatine and win. There was no other Jedi that could have pulled it off. That's why Yoda lost to him.
Yeah, well, he's absolutely right.
I think the idea got away from George a little bit in the sense that when he initially, and you can listen to old interviews with like Mark Hamill, and he'll talk about how George explained the Jedi and the Jedi Order and all that shit to him. It's treated originally more like a samurai. Right? In a sense
martial arts. Yes.
Yeah, you have, even though there was a group of them, like monks or whatever, you still had just one teacher, one student. That's how it worked. And and they even set that up in the idea that Yoda was the student that taught, Obi-Wan, which taught, and so on. So why they went with this whole idea that it's more like a school and a religious cult with me never sat well with me to begin with. I'm like, I don't like this. I think it should have been more like structured like the martial arts teachings,
and the combat, the combat, Tom, the combat was, because like Snow said, when Mace cuts off Jango Fett's head. That's supposed to be a last resort. They're all taught how to dismember people, whether that be a leg, a hand, an arm, whatever. But those are all
because isn't that the whole significance? I was gonna say, isn't that the whole significance of the scene with Dooku?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then on top of that, it's like at the end, Yoda's just like, yeah, go kill Anakin, like nothing. It's like, no, I'm not gonna go kill Anakin. Yeah, you are. Like, okay, it's like, and then he's like, Sith, we kill Sith, that's what we do. There's so much imbalance in just what he's presenting there. And when you listen to Mark Hamill talk about it back in the day, he even talks about how the difference in the lightsaber was presented to him to now. Like, now you look at it, they're flipping around, they're doing whatever with it, it doesn't seem to have as much weight. Like, Mark Hamill was told when he originally had those lightsabers in his hands, they were supposed to be much heavier than a sword.
Yeah, they were supposed to be like a claymore, like using a claymore. Yeah.
So, like, that's why he's like, I'm not so flippy-dippy with all my movements and stuff. He's like, I was told that I have to two-hand that bitch all the time, and, you know, it's more like Excalibur than it is like, you know, like just a throwaway weapon, kind of like it became in the prequel trilogy. And that was another thing, is like, George just wanted this arena full of Jedis and lightsabers. It's like, yeah, it's cool for a visual, but now you've just minimalized what it means to be a Jedi in that whole scene with the way you just did this whole thing. Like, it just... You know, and the whole thing about a lightsaber being important, because he just, you know, they bring random lightsabers and toss them at people who need lightsabers, like they're guns. You know, like, it's like, there's supposed to be kind of a connection between the Jedi and his weapon. That's kind of the whole thing, you know. And that goes back to even more Nordic mythology, you know, and that your weapon has a life to it, kind of thing.
It's an extension of your arm. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
No, you're absolutely right.
Sorry, I'm not trying to get all philosophical on this, but it was just little things like that really fucking.
You're not trying, but you
me.
succeeded without.
I
trying.
succeeded, but I don't think I'm wrong.
Well, we didn't even bring up midichlorians.
You're not wrong.
Fuck midichlorians! Oh my god!
There's a machine to measure them, so they must be real.
No, what the problem with midichlorians is you have something that is a gauge that takes away the ability that anybody in the galaxy can be a Jedi. All it does is predispose you to being a Jedi.
Okay, everybody here knows what Kung Fu is, right? But we don't know what Kung Fu is to fucking Bruce Lee or to a master that has practiced it their entire life. We have no idea. So we know what Kung Fu is, but we don't know that level of information that they do. And that's supposed
it's kind of like how they present Anakin as, you know, as Luke's father is this really great Jedi and a great pilot, right? So those two things he was good at. So just genetically, you can understand that Luke's probably pretty good behind the stick, and he could probably handle this Jedi thing better than most people. That's the way you looked at it when the movies first came out. When they made it like you're genetically predisposed to it because of these little creatures that are in your blood. I'm like, oh, so it's basically AIDS. You get AIDS.
Well, I was going to say it's the equivalent of a test for the coof, you know.
Oh, God.
Anyone could be tested and found positive.
Chlorine?
Yeah.
I can give you a musical. I can give you a musical example. There's a guy called Mike Turner. He's a Canadian guitar player. He used to play for Our Lady Peace, and I got to hang out with him for a couple days one time. I know everyone might not really know who this is, but in any case, he was talking to me. He was like, "I don't have pure guitar skill, but I work really, really hard, and I became good at the guitar through just pure work ethic."
Right.
And the funny story there is that the band fired him for not being good enough. And they never had they were never relevant after they fired him. They were never the same. He was like the straw that stirred it. And so when it comes to midichlorians, I've never given it much thought in that sense. So, you know what? I'm just stubborn enough. I don't care what my midichlorian count is. I'm going to freaking practice my arse off until I'm the best, you know?
Yeah, see? And that's what I was thinking too. Because, like, basically, if you're somebody who's predisposed to a little bit more, yeah, sure, things may come a little easier to you. You know, there's 12-year-olds who can sit in front of a piano and play Chopin. You know, like, and it just pick it up and do it. But there's other people who spend 30, 40 years to try and be a piano player and just can't quite get it down right. Like, but they still do their damnedest and they play it better than anybody else that you normally would come across because they've tried it that long. You know, and to me, that's the way being a Jedi was. Either, you know, yeah, it could become easier to you and you could do it in a little quicker like Luke did, or it took you years and years and years like some others maybe.
Yeah, and it's not like there's one thing. You have to have a certain innate ability, but you have to work hard to be able to use it. There's all sorts of factors are involved, and everybody's different. Some may have to work harder than others at certain aspects of it. So it's not just like, oh, well, we've tested you, you're a Jedi, you know. Well, great, but you have to work, you have to know how to develop those talents. And you may have other talents that are nothing to do with that. And like, look at, you know, there are people who are equally talented at what they do, but they'll never be a Jedi. But it doesn't mean they're not bloody talented at, I don't know, piloting a spaceship or fighting with a sword or you name it. You know, you don't have to be a Jedi. But
well, midi-chlorians sets up the problem we have in The Last Jedi, right, where you have Jedi Kid at the end, right? Because as soon as they did that, like within a few years, how many kids are you going to have in the galaxy that all of a sudden have weird fucking powers that their parents can't fucking explain? You know, like how many kids? And here we go. We got an expert here.
The thing you got to worry about is if you don't have those weird powers, but your neighbor does, and your kid does too.
Yeah,
the guy next door has those powers, and your kid has those powers, but you don't have them. Isn't that weird?
Bonjour. Hello.
Hello.
I heard a Scotsman.
Aye.
Hello, Vare. Kimura Hashif.
Aye. Yeah, I don't really know.
Like a panther.
No speaking the English. Sorry.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, brother?
Hey, can you ever extend what was damn Irish to singing either?
Diddly potatoes.
Diddly potatoes.
I'll balance it out with my 50% Irish.
Yeah, I was way
you still sound way too Canadian, CC. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I heard somebody talking midi-chlorians and they came running in from about 5,000 miles away.
Tom's obsessed with them.
Are you going to be a midi-chlorian defender on this?
No, not necessarily.
Oh, thank God.
I you know, the midi-chlorians are like an interesting thing because now you can power rank Jedis, I guess. But I always kind of like the mysticism of the Force, and when you introduce midi-chlorians, you make it a mathematic equation, which really detracts from kind of the whole thing.
Yeah,
I gotta know, X-Wing, Mace Windu, was he right or wrong on wanting to execute Palpatine?
Totally right.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, no, you got to cut his head off now.
Mm-hmm. No, I think the problem in that, Snow, was the mixed messaging that Anakin was getting.
Yeah,
and
he was
and
angry.
how he was being used as a tool, and wrongfully so by those guys. That's the thing, yeah. So Mace was right in killing him, but Mace was wrong in using Anakin as a tool, basically. Yeah,
He was like on the edge of losing control, and obviously Anakin picked up on that. Was like, no.
I think he was wrong.
He's too dangerous to be left alive.
That's right.
What else do you need to hear?
Well, I think Mace was wrong in leaving Anakin behind. I don't understand why he didn't bring him with. Even though he felt conflicted, he would see that Palpatine attacked him and killed 2 of his fellow Jedi right, almost instantaneously. It's true reason then, so he didn't see all that go down. He comes in when he's already defeated. And so
But Mace knew that he was close to him, right?
Right.
Mace knew that he was very close to him. And anytime you have any kind of criminal court case, whatever the case, I don't mean to bring it down to earth too much, but I mean, anytime you have something like that in the police force, you don't bring someone who's close to the situation into it.
Like an undercover situation, exactly. I was going to bring up that example. Thank you, X-Wing. It's like, yeah, that's the problem you have there is he has to be deprogrammed, and they used him, right? He was in a lot of ways duped into doing that. Yeah, sure, they did ask him flat out to betray his friend, basically, in so many words, and that part was obvious, but they used him a lot more than they let on to him personally.
You're asking me to spy on the Chancellor.
God, that was too good.
and not just that, but him being the chosen one. Okay, well, you guys want to use me to be this chosen one. You want me to be this thing, and here's this other aspect of it where he's going to help me save my wife when she dies. He's going to help me keep her alive. And you guys want to use me as this chosen guy.
See, and that's where George is flawed, because he saw it as a issue of, Padme should be the secret. No, the secret should be that the Jedi are asking him to do this thing. That's the problem. And his conflict should come from there more so. Because that's something I never understood. Because even in the originals trilogy, the way they talk about him and his wife, like, nobody acts like that was a problem. You know what I mean? The problem was Anakin's hubris and his need to learn more too fast, right? Like, that was the thing, is all you had to do is set this kid up on a power trip, right? That's really all they needed to do. It's not too hard. Because once this kid gets a taste of doing things that the Jedi could never show him, and at least, especially if they're holding him back in some way, because that's what you needed to do, is just set it up that Anakin's too good, right? Like, Yoda gets scared. Yeah, like Yoda gets scared. He's like, yeah, he's good, but he's too damn good. Like, he's going to get ahead of himself, kind of a thing. He's going to have powers that he's not going to understand how to use. And that's why they start, like, you should have had that where Yoda and Mace, like, decide, yeah, we need to back off on his training a little bit and kind of learn how to focus him down to a slower speed, because otherwise this kid's going to get powers he's not going to know how to control, to where Palpatine's on the other side saying, these guys are just holding you back. There's so much more you could do. I could show you. Just wait. Just leave me. And then shows him just little parlor tricks of a Sith Lord the Jedi can't do. And that entices Anakin like a drug. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the way they set it up, was that Anakin was a good guy. He was just tricked into this. And the way it's set up in the prequels now is, it's very muddled to me personally. I mean, I don't hate them, but there's even little things like, I don't like that Yoda goes out like a little bitch at the end. Like, if anything, it should have been Yoda had Palpatine, but then Palpatine found a way to cheat his way out of there and escaped at the last minute. That's the way it should have fucking been.
Yeah,
I like that better, because then you don't cheapen Yoda's expertise, right? Like, he was always the top dog.
Because that's what I'm saying, yeah. Because he walks in the room and he's like, not if anything to say about it I have. And I was like, yeah, get him, Yoda.
Yeets
like,
the Crimson Guards, yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden Yoda starts getting his ass handed to him. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, Yoda should be mopping the floor with his ass, and then, Palpatine retreats. That's the way bad guys work. Not the other way around,
It's okay, so part of that is because of what Palpatine said when he's talking to Anakin, and he said he could even use the midichlorians to create life. Anakin was not purposefully created. He's a byproduct of Sidious and Plagueis twisting and manipulating the dark side to eclipse the light.
Shit, I love this.
And when Palpatine figures out what he is, he starts going, okay, this is what the Force has sent to take care of me. I have to find a way to manipulate this and use it to my advantage. And that's exactly what he does. He manipulates Anakin, and he turns him and he uses him to his advantage.
Becomes the surrogate father, right?
Yep. Yeah. And Anakin was what was supposed to stop him. Anakin is what the Force put out in the universe to balance everything out. And that's what was supposed to stop him. And it didn't end up being Anakin. Ended up being Luke.
See, now that's not kind of the way I took it. I took it as that Plagueis created him, and that's how Palpatine knew about him, and that's why I didn't. Yeah, I was gonna say that's why I didn't mind Baby Yoda, and I had that theory that Baby Yoda was basically created by the Force too as a balance to balance out Anakin.
If you don't hold the Plagueis book as canon anymore, you can totally go with that. That's one of those screwed up things, because all these books have been taken out of canon, and because everything's kind of up in the air now. It doesn't matter anymore. So they can come up with whatever they want to. And
it was kind of the only thing that made sense to me, because age-wise, both Anakin and Baby Yoda would be the same age at that point, right? In the series.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that, okay, if Plagueis were to create this mutation in the Force that was created by the dark side, well, then the light side would go, okay, we got to do something to counteract that, and then make a new Baby Yoda. Well, if you present the idea that Yoda has always been the most powerful Jedi in the world, and nobody really knows where he comes from. And, Yaddle was even kind of retroactively made one of his species, even though I don't think she was ever meant to be. Like, at that point, I always looked at Yoda as like a singular entity. Like, nobody else exists like him because he's special in that way. And eventually he dies, which he does. And right about the point where he dies is where Baby Yoda is starting to come into the picture and starting to learn things.
What do you mean retroactively?
What do you mean in what part?
Yaddle.
Because originally when she came out, I don't think she was ever meant to be the same species as Yoda. Nobody ever told me that, or I'd never seen that in any of the books that she was meant to be the same species. She was just another species altogether.
Interesting.
X-Wing, what's the name of the cartoon?
I think it was Clone Wars or whatever that made her
Is it Legends that had the thing where Dooku fights Yaddle and kills her?
No, that was the new anime. It was kind of
okay. That's my biggest problem with that is that Dooku did not join Sidious till after Qui-Gon died. That's the reason why he went and looked for Sidious, was because of Qui-Gon's death. That's why he left the Jedi Order and went and found Sidious. And in the new cartoon, they make it out to where like he'd already joined and he already screwed over Qui-Gon.
They tread that line very finely. It's not definite, but yeah, I totally get what you mean.
That's horseshit.
And yeah,
Look, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying.
And yeah, it's true.
That's the best Star Wars that we've gotten, I think, in animation since the Clone Wars.
And then, like Isaj brings up in the chat, Grogu won't be useful for 200 years, though. Yeah, but that's the thing is, by that point, all the Jedi and Sith will pretty much have been wiped out, and he can start anew, right? Like, it's like a new beginning kind of thing.
Jedi.
He is the actual last Jedi. He should be, but yeah. See, that's why I don't mind his character if they used it correctly, but at this point, I'm kind of growing thin with my patience, and Obi-Wan Kenobi was like my last turn off for me. It was like I knew it was going to be bad, but
Tom, don't get me started on that show.
A lot of people want to see Grogu die.
I did not
gonna
watch
have
the
to.
last episode of Kenobi. I got through the first 5, and then I exited Star Wars at that point.
It was abhorrent. It was flagrantly insulting to like a lot of Star Wars fans, and it's so funny because this is my space in YouTube. Like the reaction that I got from people was honestly stunning. It was stunning to hear what some people had to say about that show. I hate it, and it's like I understand that you're really excited to have Hayden and Ewan back, and I completely agree with you. To have those two back on screen is phenomenal, but it's what you do with it. If you take a piece of Wagyu beef and you just instead like you have a charcoal grill and you just throw it on the charcoal as opposed to actually grilling the Wagyu, it doesn't make any sense, and that's what they did. They had Wagyu beef, prime, grade A, and they just threw it on the coals, and they're like, look, Wagyu.
well, and actually, this show shouldn't even exist. Let's be real. Regardless of whether or not they flat out said it or not, we all know, everybody fucking knows, or they wouldn't have had to make excuses for it, that these two were not supposed to meet again after the end of episode 3 until episode 4, right? Like, that is
right
just the way it's supposed to be, because Obi-Wan Kenobi doesn't do anything but just go off into the fucking desert and do nothing.
Well, not nothing. Remember, there's the book, right? And the Kenobi book was amazing.
I'm not an EU fan, though.
But the story that they told for him was amazing in the expanded universe. It was this whole story about Plug-Eye, this Tusken Raider. There was a bunch of stuff. It was an amazing story.
Well, sure, he could do some stuff on Tatooine, but like bringing in any other idea that puts him in a situation where he has to deal with another Jedi or a Sith or whatever like that, anything that puts him on the radar in any way, shape, or form of the Empire, to me, goes against everything that the story should be, because, you know, unless you did what I had originally set up, and that was the only way it would fucking work, and that would be that, you know, word come in that there's possibly the offspring of Jedi out on the Outer Rim, and you send out some bounty hunter, and Owen and Obi-Wan have to get together, and they go on this, like, you know how cowboys would leave.
Vague, though, right? It's
very vague, right? Like, and that's the only.
They did the trifecta. They're like, not only are you going to get involved with Sith and Inquisitors and stuff like that, by the way, you're also going to meet Princess Leia.
That's dumb. Yeah, because first of all, it should have been Luke, if anything, and not because Luke already has established that he knows, you know, old man Ben. But the way he talks about him is he was told, "Don't ever go near that fucking guy."
Yep.
And as I was saying, was you get the situation. Okay, so like Obi-Wan and Owen go off on this quest like cowboys to intercept this, you know, bounty hunter that's coming to find Luke, and they take out the bounty hunter, and that's one of the reasons why Owen, or you set up a situation where the bounty hunter goes back and tells the Empire that there's nothing there, one or the other, whatever it may be, however you factor that into that story. But the point is that when you get back, you have Owen say, I don't ever want you to come near this kid again. You're nothing but trouble. And Ben saying, yeah, I agree. I'll keep my distance. And they take their separate ways. And then you have Owen say, don't ever go near that crazy old man again. End of story.
Impactful moment. Impactful
exactly.
moment.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Snow. No, go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say I watched Obi-Wan. That's really when I started tuning out to that and Boba Fett, and there were scenes that I really liked, and I kept thinking to myself, why didn't they just chop this down? Be playing devil's advocate here, because we all know they shouldn't have gotten back together. But since they've kind of forced it on us, why didn't they chop it down to just the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader scenes and make like a 2-hour movie and cut
just get
out
rid of
all
Darth
the
Vader.
fat. We'll just get rid of the Reva and the Leia storyline and all that crap. Just give the fans what they want.
Snow, you have a problem here. Is if Obi-Wan were to ever face Vader again, he has to kill him. He has to kill him.
Yes.
He already made the mistake once.
That's right.
And when he faces off with him in episode 4, there is nothing but conviction in his eyes that that he knows what he needs to do. There's no wobbly wibbly bullshit of we're old friends bullshit. At that point, it's like, this is it. We're done. I should have took care of you the first fucking time. Right. That's kind of the attitude he has with him. And that's what we're missing here is this Obi-Wan's all like, woo, 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 but he's my friend. And then finding out he's Vader is this big, huge fucking like revelation. It's like, motherfucker, you knew his name was Darth Vader. Like, what is this all about? This is dumb bullshit. You don't think that one of the most powerful people in the fucking galaxy is not going to be well known? And not only that, most feared people in the galaxy is not going to be well known enough to where Obi-Wan didn't put 2 and fucking 2 together at some point? Like, that is so stupid. Like, to me, I'm just like, really? You're making it now that he figures this out? You actually had that stupid scene in episode 3 where George had them, for some reason, showing the footage of those two in the office when he's being Don Darth Vader. And I'm like, that makes no sense other than George needs it to be this way, because he must have gotten in the editing room and realized, oh shit, I never set it up that Obi-Wan knows he's Darth Vader. Like, that's the only reason that scene makes any sense to me. And if you go back and watch it, you'll see what I mean. Because why would there be a camera filming that in Palpatine's office and be in the Jedi archive is beyond me. But anyway, because I think that was supposed to be actually a scene of Anakin killing younglings, is what he was supposed to be seeing there. If you go back and look at it, it kind of makes more sense that way. But anyhow, back to the point being is, yeah, Obi-Wan has to kill him. That's it. That's his only goal at this point. There is no Anakin left, right? The moment he realizes Anakin's gone, there should be no doubt in his mind that he needs to kill him, because he thought he was dead to begin with, right? He left him for dead. And that should have been Obi-Wan's first line to him is, the mistake I made was not chopping your fucking head off.
The moment he said, I loved, past pretense, I loved you. I loved you. You were my brother. He knew that he changed. And so he knew that Anakin was gone. He didn't need to relive that revelation in Kenobi.
Exactly.
Then you're truly, my friend is truly dead. Like, you knew that. He killed all the kids in the temple. Like, what?
And to go off of what Tom was saying, the way you start that, I mean, imagine this. Just think about this really quick. You start off this series, and in the first 2-3 minutes of this series, you have a ship crash landing on Tatooine that night, and they already set this up in Solo, so they already set this up. Here you go, the fucker's alive. The ship crashes on Tatooine. It's that night. You see a fire. Darth Maul sitting there roasting a fucking hot dog. You see 2 white eyes open, and you hear, hello there. And there's your Obi-Wan opening right there. Why? Because he made the mistake of not cutting his fucking head off the first time.
Yeah, I was going to say, if not, you're better off putting Darth Maul back in. It's like, make up for that bullshit. We had one of the coolest bad guys in history, and him and Obi-Wan should have a hell of a rivalry. If you're going to bring him back, and not only that, bring him back in the canon of film, like they did at the end of Solo, you're right, Loki. The whole series should have been about their face-off. I know they already did it in Clone Wars, but I don't give a shit. I didn't watch the cartoon. As a grown man, I want to see it live action. I want to see these two go face-to-face, right? Like, once again, if he's still alive.
All I can say is that I'm really impressed by the way that Tom has completely sidetracked us from talking about his date last night.
It was a little uneventful.
1 hour of sidetracking to avoid talking about it. Just kidding. Carry on, X-Wing. Sorry, I interrupted you. Oh, I've killed it dead now. I've killed everybody stone dead now.
No, I was actually just trying to say I did watch Rebels twice, in fact, and
That was
and
karaoke.
Part,
Sorry, I
part,
interrupted you.
part of the trouble for me at this point, Kenobi is so awful, and it exists in the middle of the timeline, whereas those Disney films exist later, so it's even harder to fix that. If you're getting really caught up on canon making sense, you've got this Kenobi show, and then you got. There are some good things that have come out in the last 10 years. And to be honest, I don't like. I would love them to just ditch the whole thing and start fresh again. But I also don't want to lose Rebels. I actually love that show. And maybe there's some things I don't love, but there's some great characters like Kanan.
No, I agree.
And I just don't want to lose that. And the final scene with Obi-Wan and Darth Maul was, in my opinion, genuinely beautiful.
Yes.
And if the Kenobi series filled in the space leading up to that final fight, amazing, you know?
And Tom brought up the Kurosawa films. That was so, I mean, I was like, it's like I'm watching a scene from Seven Samurai. When they're about to duel and Obi-Wan just finishes him. It's like, no, we're not even gonna get going because I'm that much better than you. I am a true Jedi master, and you are not anywhere near me. He just finishes him. It's like done, over, finished. Yeah.
Rebels was before The Force Awakens came out. You know, me and my son tuned into that as well. With finding out about the Inquisitor and all that stuff was interesting, and we enjoyed that show. And we still had a lot of hope built up in us for the new Star Wars coming out because we
boot, guys. Sorry. See you later.
Later, X-Wing.
Have a good night.
Rock and roll.
Cheers.
But yeah, I really enjoyed Rebels too, and that was a different time, CC Karaoke, because up through the Force Awakens, we still kind of had some hope of things turning around and making a good series, just like Snoke being Plagueis and all that other stuff, and seeing the trio together. But of course, after Carrie Fisher died, the bad news of what was coming towards us was starting to reveal itself, and as you know, it just went downhill from there.
It was especially jarring because season 4 of Rebels came out kind of like after The Last Jedi, right? And there were some of the best Star Wars moments were in that 4th season, in my opinion, especially that Kanan moment. And it's like that was a real dichotomy going on right there. It's like, what is even going on here? Yeah, sorry. my brain just fried on the thought of it while I was speaking.
Well, it is late.
That's true. No, but I do love Rebels, and that's been a sticking point in my head. I don't want to lose those characters. If they're going to reset the canon, great, go for it. Because at this point it's so messed up, you might as well. But do kind of what you did with Thrawn, like trying to bring Thrawn into the new Disney stuff. Keep the good stuff. Keep the good ideas,
No, absolutely. Keep the good ideas and get rid of the crap. And I think that's it for tonight. We blew our load on Star Wars. I feel like
that was a hard load. Yeah.
Yeah, there it goes. Yeah.
Maybe I'll do some news radio.
Tom blew his load on Star Wars. Some of us have got a lot left.
I don't even know how we wound up on that road, and I apologize. I apologize.
No, it's all good.
Honestly,
it was good, mate. I learned a
lot. I've got good feel. I think Star Wars is actually going to be pretty good over the next year or two. I could be totally wrong, but I've got that feeling. I'm not sure anyone's going to care.
I thought you were being funny for a minute, like because we weren't getting anything, and then I remember we are getting Mandalorian and Ahsoka. Yeah,
it's the apathy factor. You're right, CC. Will people care? Even if it's good, will they care? It's hard to forgive some of the atrocities that have gone on. If only they'd had some expanded universe material to work with, but Star Wars had nothing like that.
They don't have comic books
They have
and books.
nothing.
What are you talking about? Kathleen Kennedy told me herself.
Nothing to work with.
They don't have things to work from. None.
I mean, they could have had thousands of hours of movies and TV if only they had something to work with.
Yeah, well, George didn't sense the dark side in KK, and we all paid the ultimate price.
Yeah, we did. We did. Such a shame. But hey, we still got
I'm
the original trilogy.
I'm one of the few people that really believe the rat got her. The rat got her. It didn't take that long. The rat got her.
Yeah. Well, the rat got my precious Muppets. They got a precious Star Wars. Marvel now.
Aliens, Predator, Marvel.
Yeah. These bastards.
No,
X-Men.
Blame it all on the rat.
The executioners, whatever they call themselves now. Oh,
Yeah.
guys, it's been great. Thank you so much. CC Karaoke. Tell everybody where they can find you, brother.
I got a channel by the same name. If you enjoy singing, you can always find me there. And everywhere I appear live, well, I got a playlist up top of my landing page. So,
Heck yeah, Day Bob.
Nothing.
Oh my God,
But that's an emphatic nothing, though.
It's an emphatic
a
nothing.
Firm nothing.
Guys, subscribe to Day Bob. He doesn't have a channel, but God, he's on. He comes by every Friday morning and almost every Friday night here and hangs out with me. So thank you, brother. Snowed Up, what do you got going on?
Oh, same old, same old. Probably some tuck and roll show tomorrow night. You know, if anybody wants to come hang out, we'll be having some fun over there, I'm sure. And then I'm gonna jump over on Ord's. What is he? He's Ord's World right now, I believe. Ord's
Doing
World
Mario
channel.
Kart?
Yep, Snow Kid's
yeah.
playing over there right now. So I'll probably jump over there, do a few rounds, laugh with those guys for a little bit, and then if Tom's going live with Mead Radio later tonight, I might pop in there as well.
Play some good tunes, Tom.
Yes, everybody
tunes.
knows that the die.
Well, the best part is you can listen to it while you're doing other things like playing Mario Kart. You know.
Yeah. Play
Yeah, I'll
Cheap
do
Trick
that
from
in,
the Transformers movie. Play
That's
that
right.
I could probably do
Double dipping. Yeah, double dipping.
I'll probably be playing Mech Warrior for at least an hour before I go to bed.
Probably about a half hour here. I'll go live.
Is that Mech Warrior 5, Loki? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to grips with that. I just can't steer and go in the right direction.
And turn?
Yeah, I just can't do it.
Okay, so supposedly new updates coming out. New updates coming out on the 26th, so 6 days from today. And they're supposed to have an all-new control thing that's easier to use with controllers. I'm okay, and I've got a stick and throttle and all that shit I can use and rudder pedals, and I got the full 9 yards. But yeah. Yeah,
I'm
I
so
get
busy shooting the shit out of things behind me. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, Tom, I interrupted you. Go listen to Mead Radio and subscribe to Mead Radio because Tom is fucking awesome. He's my
That's right.
buddy, and he's awesome.
Well, thank you. And I got the link shared in the private chat here if you guys want to share it out here in the stream. It'll be a little bit before I start. I'll start about midnight. So, yeah.
Chris
midnight
Persia
my
got
time.
you covered, brother. Chris Persia
sounds
got
good.
you out there already.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good.
Will it be midnight at the Oasis?
Maybe. It's midnight where I am. It's 11:30 now, so I'll start here in about 25 minutes or so.
Sure. Cool.
All right. And
that's all I have to say about
That's
that.
all I get.
Jenny, we got 5 Jennies now. Lieutenant Dan, ice cream.
You ain't
That was
got
really
no
good.
legs, Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant
How
Dan,
many
Jenny's got the
legs
AIDS.
you got there, Bubba?
Jenny's got
You
the
ain't got
AIDS.
no legs.
Yes, I know, Forrest.
Come on, you fucker, take me. Wow. Yes. Gary Sinise, what an absolute insane
Gent.
son of a-
He liked one of my tweets recently. I was so stoked.
He's a great actor, yeah.
He is.
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
See the dopamine hit I got out of that? That was incredible.
70s. What do you got going on, brother? I know you're always on
well-
everywhere.
Well, you will always find me in the kitchen at parties, for one thing, but that's a music reference, it's an obscure British music reference. That 70s rock fan, Chris, has posted my link. I'm trying to put out lots of stuff. tomorrow night I'll be doing the hockey show, Bourbon and Boarding. Brahma, my co-host and co-creator, won't be able to join me, but Culture Casino is joining me tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Mountain Time. He knows nothing about hockey, but I'm sure he's handled a few sticks in his time, so I think he'll be okay. And
there went the rest of my vodka. Holy shit.
And then on Monday, it's only Talk and Roll, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. It is a Cheap Trick special because it's Robin Zander's 70th birthday, and I fucking love Cheap Trick. So I've been prepping a montage and clips and stuff, and it's going to kick ass. It's going to raise hell, in fact. So.
Oh, yeah. Chat, thank you so very much for being here. All of you in Valhalla, have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend Ender, and we'll see you guys on Monday. Take care, everybody.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, y'all. Good night,
Good
John
night.
Boy.
Good
John
night,
Boy.
Tom.
Good night, Tom.
I like turtles.
Good.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.